Imagine for a minute there's no Spotify, no SoundCloud, no YouTube, no Dropbox, no USB sticks. How did we share our music back in the day? That is what I'm going to go through with you right now. Don't go anywhere. Right, so you might be wondering what has spurred on this video, and it is all about this. This box was at the back of a long, dark cupboard I've not opened for a very long time, and this was right at the back, and I thought, I recognise that box. And in this box, people, are all of my CDs. Yes, CDs. If you don't know what they look like this. And back in the day, that is how we shared our music. And all of these CDs, pretty much all of them, are tunes that were handed to me at Forward right from the beginning. So what would happen is you'd go to Forward, you get chatting to people, and I used to bring a bunch of CDs with me of tracks that I'd finished, that week or a few months ago. And then when you discover who DJs were or other producers, you hand them your CD, and they'll do the same. So it was such a cool thing. I remember that was one element of what excited me about going to these early nights is you were bound to get given some like dub plates. And that's how music was shared, really. We weren't able to email the digital files. So it was either through CD or dub plates or test presses, white labels. That was another thing. Like, I remember I just really wanted to get on the mailing list for record labels so I could get white labels and test presses, especially when I joined Rinse, because I obviously wanted stuff before it came out. And if you don't know, dub plates cost a lot of money. So back then they were about £30 for a 10-inch dub and £50 for a 12-inch. And the 12 inches had, a bit better bass response and sound quality. But back to this box. I have not opened this box. It could be 15 or 16 years, maybe even longer than that. So I'm going to take a look into this box right now and go through some of the things that are inside here. Right then. So this is going to be interesting. So yeah, as you can see, it's just bundles and bundles of CDs. Hopefully some of these will still play. That's what I'm hoping anyway. Right then. So, there we go. DMZ number 6, which was from Loafer. Had Root and Goats there on it. And I remember for ages, I don't know why, I just couldn't work out who Loafer was. And I remember, I think I thought Hatcher was Loafer for a little while, and I was actually going to go up to him at Forward and be like, I'd really love to grab some beats from you, Loafer, and he probably would have thought I was a right idiot. So these two producers, Search and Destroy, if you've not heard of them, do a little bit of research. I'm sure you can find their music. There were two amazing producers, Paul Pryor and Jason, that went under the name Search and Destroy. It was Pryor and Lohan. I used to support their music right at the beginning, and yeah, they were big supporters of mine. They were kind of like more on the breakier edge, and it's kind of making a bit of a comeback now. People are kind of revisiting that time, kind of like the early Bingo sound, Texture, Oris J, Dark One. So but these guys absolutely smashed it. And this one, Brain Teaser and Food Chain, this actually got signed to Texture, and I was really jealous because I was a massive fan of Texture Records and Oris J. So yeah, these guys got onto Texture. This is One Extra. This is a recording of a very early show, and it was me and Chef on One Extra, and I think it was on DJ Q. There was a DJ on there called DJ Q. Not sure if he's still on there. And it was a big deal, like for us to get onto One Extra back then was a big deal. Let's keep going. Got loads of CDs from Scream back in the day. Got a big up Scream each and every. I'm not sure even if all of these came out. Obviously Glamour. There's a track on here called Fairy Tale. There's one called Korma. Oh, here we go. Right, okay, so this is a big one. So the main way we got in touch with each other back in the day, because there wasn't, you know, there weren't smartphones, I don't think. It was all kind of like the old, you know, brick mobile phones back then. It was like, you know, Sony Ericssons and Blackberries, things like that. And the only way we really got to reach out to each other was through a forum that was called dubplate.net. That is where I first kind of heard about Digital Mystics, and through Hatcher's show, but I didn't really know that they were like, you know, kind of, you had Mala and Koki and Lofa. So I remember just hitting up on dubplate.net, you know, someone was posting just called Digital Mystics, and I remember like private messaging them saying like, oh, you know, it'd be great to like swap some tunes with you. And I actually Mala actually came and met me in Bromley. In Bromley there's a pub called O'Neill's, which is still there actually. So that was the first time I met Mala. I had no idea what he looked like, and then when I actually saw him, I kind of then put two and two together. Like, I'd obviously seen him at many nights but didn't realise that was him. But yeah, he gave me this CD, but he also done something even more amazing, which is what we used to do back in the day too, is he actually cut me a dub plate. And this is another way we used to share music, and I remember doing this for DJ EZ. I was a massive fan of DJ EZ. He was quite a big influence, as in he was playing your straight up typical UK garage, but he was also bringing in like, you know, DJ Zinc, the Bingo Beats label stuff, Texture from like Oris J, as I mentioned before, and some of the 8-bar stuff, which was the early kind of, it was kind of like the birth of grime. Like before it was called grime, it was called 8-bar, and EZ was mixing all of this stuff together. So you had like these real like kind of poppy vocal garage remixes, then mixed with like grime and DJ Zinc and early kind of dubstep led sounds. So it really spoke to me, because it wasn't long before then I left uni and I was going to loads of raves where it was like garage and these kind of sounds. Even like DJ Nero's Saved Souls, like that was such a massive tune and a massive inspiration. So one of my earliest kind of goals when I started producing was to get him one of my tracks and to have that played on his radio show. So I cut to dub, which was the way you got music to EZ, is you cut it onto dub plate and you went up to Kiss FM studios and you left it at the desk and you said, you know, this is for DJ EZ. He played it. So that was amazing. That was like the first tune I ever made, cut it to dub plate, and DJ EZ played it that week on his show. So that was massive. So like I said, that's how we got music around. Also white labels. So this is basically what happened. You go to shows, you carry a bunch of CDs, you hand them to people. I'll see if I can find the dub plate that Mala gave me, actually. Hang on. There we go. So this was their first release on vinyl, which was their first release on Big Apple Recordings. And Mala cut me these. He cut me the Wrath and Pathways, and they came out on Big Apple. I've got it here on the CD as well. So that was Big Apple number 4. So yeah, I mean, that was amazing getting that dub plate. Oh, here we go. Tectonic. Oh, this was the first ever Tectonic on and look at him, look. Pinch was well ahead of the game. He was like doing it all professionally. Had it on printed CDs. See, that was when your game was really big, having printed CDs. This was DJ Pinch and P Dutty, War Dub and Alien Tongue. And that was the other thing. We used to all have our phone numbers on there. Phone numbers and emails. Because that was the only way you could contact each other. What else have we got in here? I think we've got some Cyrus in here. We've got... So me and Joe Nice, we connected very, very early on over dubplate.net. I used to send him a lot of my early tracks. He's probably got some tracks of mine that I don't think I even have. But for us talking, don't worry about that. But through us talking, he found out that I was a bit of a Prince fan, and he started sending me CDs as well of like rare like Prince recordings of him playing live. So big up Joe Nice. Yeah, and he actually came to one of the forwards very, very early on, so we got to connect. But yeah, man, he's a great guy, great DJ. Filthy Dub. This was an event that happened very, very early on, and I remember Plastician did like him and Mark One did like a hilarious advert for it that was played on Rinse. It was so funny. This is a little free promotional mix. Another Scream CD, Benga. Got loads of tunes from Benga back in the day. Such a sick producer, still is. So like I said, Oris J, Dark One, he was a big influence on me back in the day. Like he really kind of made me want to jump on producing a bit more seriously than I was. So when I started getting dubs from him, it was a big deal. But like I said, used to get these in the post. We used to send them to each other in the post. On here we got Taiwan Ink. Oh man, Free Note Blue, such a tune. I think this came out on a compilation. I think Landslide did like a free, like a triple LP vinyl release, and on it was Free Note Blue by Oris J. And I remember hearing that at Forward, and I was just totally blown away. D1 was such a big producer back in the day. I've got to go through these. I've got no idea what's on these because they just literally just say people's names and there's no track list. One from Lofa, Twiz Up remix, Dread, 10 Dread, does that say? Truly Dread and Beat Them. So I think this was the first CD I ever got from Scream actually. This had Conga on it, Contrast, Depth Charge, and Future's Dark. Big up Scream. Remember working with him really early in the day, back in the day as well. Shackleton, CD from Shackleton. So Shackleton and Appleblim would always be at the front of Forwards going absolutely nuts, like peeking over the decks, trying to look at all the names on the dub plates. And then it wasn't long until they were producing themselves and they started Skull Disco. So there's probably some gems on here. Code 9. Look at the state of this CD. I don't know if you can see that. Look. Can you see that? I'll try and zoom out. Anyway, it looks like it's deteriorating, so I'm going to have to be really careful. I'm going to have to try and get the tracks off this before it's gone for good. But what have we got on here? We've got Sign of the Dub, Babylon, Stalker 2. Some of these feature Daddy G as well, RIP Daddy G. Toasty Boy. If you don't know about Toasty Boy, go back and do your research. Absolute amazing. Like at the time, he was just kind of like the one that was kind of blowing most of us out the park. Do you know what I mean? Like his mix downs, he was just on a different level, I think, to where I was at the time. Was such a big producer. And this one in particular, yeah, I remember getting Knowledge. So if you know Knowledge by Toasty, you'll know what a big tune that was. And I think I was actually the first person to play that on Rinse FM. And then not long after that, it got snapped up by Paul Rose, who runs Hot Flush. Anyway, look, I could be going through these for ages. It's probably not that interesting. More Toasty Boy. Oh, this came out on Stormin', which was Caspar, or Quiet Storm back then, was his label. Second to None. They were a big duo from back in the day. They used to have some really big tunes. I think they released some tracks. It was either on Soldier or Road. I think their tracks come out on Road, which was part of the whole like Ammunition crew. But yeah, EZ used to smash some of their tunes. Big up Second to None. Right, I'm gonna have to cover it. This has got his phone number on it. But this is look, this is Quiet Storm, now known as Caspar. but he did. I remember the first time hearing this, he did a track called Bass Bins, and I remember hearing that, and I was just like, mate, this tune. So yeah, I was very lucky. Well, very happy when he handed me this. There was something very different about receiving something physical from people. I think it made it feel a lot more special and non-disposable. Like now, I feel like the way people send tunes and you receive them, I just feel like people don't give it anywhere near as much time. Whereas, you know, when you were given a CD, you would really, you know, you'd have to put it in, and literally, you know, you couldn't see anything visual on the screen or necessarily skip it, you know, or not accurately. So you were forced more to like sit and really listen to these tracks. And you, especially if you then went to cut these onto dub, it's like you've invested money, you know, you've invested like 30 to 50 pounds to have this on a dub plate, and like it led to you supporting that tune for a long time. And tracks also stayed on a dub plate or as a dub a lot longer, so people tended to support music a lot longer, so tracks were really promoted in a more organic way, I felt, before they were released. Whereas now, you know, I might send someone a new tune, and then they've done a podcast, say, and then they've got a gig the next weekend, and they're asking me if I've got any new tunes again. And it's like, I've just given you some new tunes last week, but you want some newer ones to play at your next show. So now it feels like new music, like music is just feels a bit more disposable, which it shouldn't be. You know, like on my SWU FM show, I try and support music for a long time. Like if you listen to my shows, I'm not always necessarily trying to play like the newest, freshest thing. Like it still might be fresh, as in like it's not released, but I will support that tune if I choose to play it for, you know, weeks, if not months, until that tune comes out. And that's comes from how we used to operate back in the day. It's like you would have invested in that track to keep playing it. So I think it's a shame that we've lost that. But look, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I don't want to keep it too long. I mean, it's me looking through CDs, but it was such a special time. Can't really express that enough to people that weren't there. If you were there, you know, leave a comment below, express how it made you feel. And if you weren't there, express how, you know, this video makes you feel. Like, would you like to have been there and got involved and bought CDs? Is it something we could try and bring back somehow? I'm not too sure. But hope you enjoyed the video. I will be back soon with another one. Maybe if there's enough demand for it, I'll do another video where I actually pick out maybe 10 or 12 of these tunes, some real like special rare ones, or I could even do a mix. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll be back very soon. Till then, look after yourselves. Peace.